Enjoy life. Like, you're here. This is the moment. Stop delaying your gratification for something else. Enjoy today. Today should be the best day of your life.
All right. Mr. Taylor Offer.
How you doing?
Doing well, man. It's been a little too long. When was the last time I saw you?
A couple of years ago, I think I saw you DJ at San Francisco.
Yeah, I think that was pretty trippy of me. I was sitting there on the DJ booth, just killing it as always, and then out of nowhere, I see Taylor Offer's little head just popping up out of nowhere. I was like, yo, is he really here right now? I thought you're in LA. Yeah, man, good to see you again. Thank you for having me here in your Culver City office. It's a beautiful spot.
Thank you.
Before we get into the podcast episode and dig into your story, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of overview. So if you could go ahead and do maybe like a quick 2-3 minutes of who Taylor Offer is, what it is that you do, and where we're at right now.
Cool. So I was born in Los Angeles.
Grew up my whole life there. Then went to Massachusetts for school. While in college, I started feet socks, and we had no idea what we were doing. We started just making socks. We'd go to like TJ Maxx and buy white Nike socks, white Adidas socks, and just press designs on them because we had this little heat press. Senior year, we sold about 20,000 pairs of socks, and we were like, whoa, we got a real business here. We raised some money from an investor. At the same time, though, I had an awesome opportunity for a job at LinkedIn. So I took the job at LinkedIn. That's where we met. And after about 9 months of working at LinkedIn, our company really started scaling. We raised $1 million from another investor. I quit LinkedIn to do feet full time. We did some influencer collabs with people like Ali Raisman, the Chainsmokers, Logan Paul. Did millions of dollars in sales just through influencer collabs. We're like, whoa, this is a real business. Scaled the team to 20 people. Since then, got really good at digital acquisition, Facebook, Instagram ads, and really scaling online businesses. Really automated every aspect of the feet. So myself or Parker doesn't take any time to work on feet anymore.
Yeah.
Since then, it completely runs itself. We have great people in great places. Doesn't really take much of our time. It's on autopilot. It's extremely profitable. It's just a great business. Since then, we started some other businesses. We started consulting with Taylor Parker Agency. We have a new company we're launching pretty soon. So I'm definitely a serial entrepreneur, always looking for new opportunities.
And you're 26, 27, right? You were
26, yeah.
That's crazy. Yep. And I saw recently you and Parker were Forbes 30 and 30. Congratulations on that.
Yep. Thank you.
And that was an amazing overview, by the way. Like, you sound like you've done that a million times.
I've done it way too many times.
So from everything that you've done and over that 2-3 minute summary, what has been like one of your number one or number two highlights throughout all of that?
One of the highlights is when we launched a sock campaign with Logan Paul. Because it was, I started getting really fascinated by influencers and influencer marketing like in 2014, 2015. This was before influencers a word. And like, I remember all these kids that got famous from this app called Vine. And no one in the business world was paying them any respect at all. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's just these kids messing around right now. It's similar to how people in the business world would think about these kids on TikTok. Like, no one's paying them any respect, any money, any time. And I was like, no, there's definitely something here. There's definitely something here. And I just became obsessed. So I went on Instagram and I found every single kid with a big following from Vine and like these little comedy kids. And I shot them a DM, and I probably sent thousands of DMs being like, hey, I love your videos. Can I send you some free socks? And if you like them, maybe we can work together. And of course, like, no one responds.
What would the ratio be? Like, if you send 100, how many respond?
0. So like, I probably sent probably close to 5,000 to 10,000. I would hire people to do it, and they just send it all day. And we were hitting up these kids from Vine. We were hitting up like Kanye and like Justin Bieber, and like, obviously Kanye and Bieber don't want our socks. But finally, this one kid responds, and he's like, sure, you could send some socks to 1600 Vine Street in Hollywood. I remember I was living in Boston at the time, and I was like, that's so weird. He's a Viner and he lives on Vine Street. But interesting, but weird. Maybe he's messing with me. And then a couple of days later, so that was the first guy, was this guy Marcus Johns who said that. A couple of days later, this guy Curtis Lepore responds. He's like, yeah, send some socks to 1600 Vine Street in Hollywood. I remember turning to Parker, and I was like, dude, either these Viners are just messing with me for the hell of it, or I think they all might live in the building. And I start researching all of them. In the building, every single room had the same doorknobs, the same sinks, the same floors. And I was like, oh shit, they might actually all live in the same building. No way this is true. And it was people like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Amanda Cerny, King Batch, Lele Pons, Rudy Mancuso, Cameron Dallas, Bieber was in some videos, all with the same doorknobs and all with the same carpets and floors and walls. And I'm like, there's no way.
You're doing some deep stalking, right?
Oh, deep, man, deep. So I was like, I got to figure this out. So I fly out to LA and go straight to 1600 Vine in Hollywood. And I remember I get there and I was like, my plan's like, yeah, I'm just going to get there and just walk in and say what up and see if all these people live here. And I get there and of course it's like, I didn't even think about it. I'm not the first person to realize they all live in the same building. There's high security there. And I get there and the security guard's there and he's like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I'm here to see a friend. And they're like, who? And I was like, Marcus. And he was like, okay, we're going to call up. And I was like, oh shit, like there's no chance. And as I'm saying that, I see King Batch like walk by me. He's like, oh, you're going up to see Marcus? I can let you in the elevator. Exactly. And he lets me in the building and I go upstairs. He's like, Marcus's place is that way. And I was like, oh, cool, thank you. And I like wait for him to walk away. Then I just don't walk to Marcus's place. And I'm like stalking around the building. And I see like, I go up by the pool and it's like Logan and Jake are hanging out by the pool. Then I go to the gym and it's like Amanda Cerny and Cameron Dallas. And I'm like, wow, all these people actually live here. So I called Parker. I was like, dude, we're moving to LA. We're moving into this building. We're going to work with these people. And they're going to blow up our business.
Where were you guys at the time?
At the time, we were in Boston.
You guys going to school? Or?
No, so it was after LinkedIn. When I quit LinkedIn, we had moved to Boston. We had a team of 6 people in Boston.
Okay.
And Parker's like, what about our warehouse? What about our employees? And I was like, dude, none of that matters. We have to move to this building. So we ended up letting go of all of our employees because none of them wanted to move. Got out of our warehouse, moved into this building. And about like 6 or 9 months later, we ended up doing this deal with Logan after becoming friends with him. And with one post, he sold $500,000 of socks. So that was my point where I was like, validation. Because, dude, I moved our whole team. I moved our company cross country. I moved my co-founder cross country. I made this huge bet on these influencers could actually sell product. These influencers could actually sell product. Nobody thought they could sell product. And then with Logan's post and just seeing all the traffic and seeing the sales, I was like, wow, everything's validated. That was awesome.
And that's how you started like your LA journey and coming back out here and kind of just continuing to kill it.
Exactly. And then from there, word got out around Hollywood because we paid Logan on a back-end profit split deal. We ended up paying him like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So everyone's like, damn, this one company paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that all these other influencers started hitting us up now, wanting to work with us. Because they're like, damn, he made so much money off that. Like, we want to do that too.
And like you said, this is before influencer marketing was actually a thing. So it was kind of like a free-for-all and you were just testing the waters, right?
It was so free-for-all. Nobody had any plan or anything what to do. So we became experts at structuring these deals because nobody else knew how to do these deals. So we became the influencer marketing experts.
Cool, man. Well, I kind of wanted to take a little bit of time to rewind a little bit and dig into maybe your upbringing. So like you said, you were born in LA, raised in LA. Can you like shed more light as to like what that was like? You have brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
I know a couple of them have Instagrams. Even your dog and your sister's baby has an Instagram. So I see that on social a ton. But if you can just shed light, what was growing up for Taylor Offer looking like?
So I grew up with an older sister and a younger brother. Older sister, super smart, super motivated. She is doing like awesome things. She works at Netflix right now, killing it. Younger brother, always a better athlete than me. So like I wasn't as smart as my older sister and I wasn't as good as an athlete as my younger brother. So I always had to work extra hard to fit in.
What sports did you guys play?
Everything. Like in high school, I think I set the record at my high school because I played soccer, basketball, football, baseball, and lacrosse. I was a 5-sport athlete all throughout different years because you only play 3 per year. So I'd switch it up every year, which shows what an ADD entrepreneur I am. I played a little bit of everything, did a little
bit.
You
somehow passed your classes and made it past high school?
Yeah, kind of. Definitely passed high school. College was more iffy. Barely snuck by there. Ended up dropping out of the business school in college, but still graduated. But yeah, growing up was awesome in Los Angeles. You get exposure to so many different things, so many different people. Got into entrepreneurship pretty early. Like, I mean, I can remember when I first got a car when I was 16 and started driving, I would go down to Staples Center because I was the biggest Clipper fan ever, but I couldn't afford to get in. So I'd go out there and I'd buy $7 nosebleed tickets and I would scalp them and I'd sell them for a little bit more. And I'd flip those $7 tickets for $12. And then I'd use those $12 to buy a different level ticket. Then I'd flip those again. And by the end of it, because the games start at 7:30 and I get there at 6:30. So I pretty much had an hour to flip these tickets to get as low as possible. And by the end of it, a lot of times I was sitting courtside just by buying and selling
tickets. From a $7 ticket?
From a $7 ticket. Because I think I got really good at doing sales. I got really good at understanding what times people buy. Like tickets are extremely valuable. The game starts at 7:30. So tickets like at 6:30, like no one's in a rush. Then like between 7:10 and 7:25, tickets are at their highest value because people are rushing to get in. They want to get in. And then once you get to 7:30 tip, tickets depreciate by like 50%. So you got to flip them by then. So it's this whole thing of understanding how markets work and how value changes over time. And then also selling stuff. Like, I think my approach is really good, especially because I wasn't sketchy. So no one was scared of fake tickets. I was like, oh, this little like white Jewish 16-year-old, like he's not going to rip me off. This kid, like I'm going to rip him off. So I think that helped. But yeah, that was awesome. That was really fun just to learn about how to buy and sell things and how value kind of worked.
Did you have any other side hustles like sell things at school or I don't know, like wash cars or anything like that? I feel like like nowadays you hear about all these entrepreneurs and everybody says that they had like lemonade stands and wash cars and all that. And I feel like sometimes it's a bunch of bullshit, but
yeah.
I mean, I believe you just knowing you for the past 5 or 6 years. So did you have like any other side hustles that you can like touch on and
I mean, not really. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they look back on their shit and they just like make it so fake and like over exaggerate. Like, I used to do this and that and this. It's like, no, you didn't. Like bullshit. I was always just like making money in like different weird hustle ways. I remember one year when I was, I think 16 or 17, we ended up going, I think must have been 16. So it was right when I got my license and my mom was pissed about it. But me and my friend drove out to Vegas one night. Just go like, oh, we have our license. We can go do whatever. It was a Friday. It was after school. I was like, I'm going to Vegas. And I go to Vegas. And randomly, it was the same weekend that EDC was. And I had no idea. It was EDC Vegas. And we get out there and we're like, oh, cool. There's a big festival here. Let's go check it out. And we're like, let's try to sneak in or scalp tickets or whatever. And we drive out there, just us two. And we get there. And I think this was the year, like it was too windy, so like the Ferris wheel was falling or something. So like around like midnight, we couldn't get in. We kept trying to get in, but they shut down all of EDC. And this was before Uber or Lyft. And EDC in Vegas is like 12, 15 miles away from the Strip. And there was no taxis there because no one was ready for the festival to end. So probably 50 or 100,000 people come rushing out of EDC and they all need rides and no one can call Ubers and the taxi line's like 5 hours.
Isn't it like still super hot even if that late at night?
It was so hot. Yeah. Everyone's like pissed off. Everyone wants to go home. And so we were like, cool, we can't get in, festival's over, whatever. Then someone's like, yo, I'll pay you $100 to drive us back to the Strip. And I was like, how about $150? And they're like, done. So we drive these people back to the Strip for $150 and it takes like 10 minutes. And we're like, oh shit. So we drive back out to EDC and then we look at the taxi line. There's over 1,000 people in line. So there's no Ubers, there's no Lyft. You had to get a taxi and there's no taxis there. So we went to the taxi line, we drove by it. And as we drive by, we're like, hey, rides to the Strip, $200. Immediately someone's like, done. So we drive someone back to the Strip for $200. We go back out there. We're like, rides to the Strip, $300. And this is for like a 15-minute ride. That day we made like $3,500 that night. Just driving back and forth, all these people from EDC. So it was always like, if I saw an opportunity, I'd capitalize on it. Feet was actually the third business I started in college. The first one was called Market Loco. It's pretty much a Craigslist for colleges. So a place you could buy tickets, textbooks, all that good stuff specific to your college. That did really well, got 500,000 visitors, couldn't figure out how to monetize it. The second business was called Shack Shirt, so it was pretty much making all the shirts for all the fraternities and sororities. Yeah. So I realized they needed shirts for every single event, and they were willing to pay like $15 a shirt. And I was like, oh, cool, let me see if I can make these for $5. So I'd go to the fraternity and be like, oh, cool, how many shirts you want? They'd be like 500. It's a big event. And I'd be like, oh, cool, like, and how much are you paying right now? They'd say 15. And I say, okay, cool, I'll do it for 10. And they're like, what, that's so cheap, done. So they'd pay me 500 times 10. They'd pay me $5,000, and I'd go make them for 5 and make them for 2,500. I make $2,500 profit.
How were you making them? Did you got like a screen printer, or did you?
No, I would literally call printing shops and be like, "How much does this cost?" and just negotiate better than the fraternity would negotiate,
and then make the difference. So if
exactly.
They charge you $8, you made $2 a shirt.
Exactly.
Nice.
And then I would go and I wouldn't order them until I get the money from the fraternity. So it was like I didn't have to put out any cash. It was a win-win. So that was awesome.
And that was just you doing it? You didn't have like a partner or anybody
just
else?
Just me. I started doing it around UMass, around my school. Yeah. Did really well. Then I was like, wow, I got to get more colleges. So then I drove from Los Angeles to Massachusetts the first week of school, like syllabus week. And I stopped at Arizona, Arizona State, UT Austin, LSU, Alabama, Auburn, Georgetown. Just stopped at every school, and I just went door to door on Frat Road. I would knock on the door and be like, hey, what's up? I'm a college student too. Like, I realized everyone's getting ripped off with t-shirts. I can make them for cheaper and better quality. If you want cheaper, better quality t-shirts, let me know.
Were you in a fraternity yourself? Or?
Yeah, I was. And it started because I was in the fraternity, and they're making me buy these $15 shirts for every single event. And I was like, dude, I don't want to buy another $15 shirt. And they're like, you have to. Everyone at the event's going to wear them. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to have to do this, I'm at least going to make money off it.
Yeah.
So then I picked up accounts all across the country, just going door to door hustling. And by senior year, I was making like 25 grand a semester.
Holy crap. And you did that for 2 or 3 years? You started
Yeah, a couple of years. Yeah.
Cool. What do you think, like, that, I feel like when you think of starting a business and maybe taking it online or even just like doing sales in person, not very many people would think to like just load up a car and go door to door across the country. What drove you to that action?
I think it's just, I had this like, and I think most entrepreneurs do, it's just this itch of like testing hypothesis. And like, I think entrepreneurs, it's like you have an idea in your head and you don't care what anyone thinks. And like, when I get an idea in my head, it's like, I just want to see if it's true. I want to see if my hunch is true. Like I had this idea that I could sell bright, fun, crazy socks. And I was like, I'm going to go as hard as I can to test if this is true. Same way with you. You're like, I have an idea. I could do this awesome podcast. It's just going to eat at you until you test that it's true, or DJing or whatever it is. And I think it's just the curiosity of like, I think this could happen. Let me see if it could happen. And it's just like delusional in the sense that like you actually think it could happen because you need to have this ridiculous delusional belief to be an entrepreneur, and then wanting to go test it and see if you can actually make it happen.
So then did that second business drive you to start Feet? Like how did you get into the sock business? How did you even choose socks? Why did you do it? Why didn't you just continue doing what you were doing with t-shirts?
Yeah. So, well, the t-shirts, it was going really well until I did one huge order for this school, and it was for pocket tees. I think it was like 500 or 1,000 units. And it was like, I think they were paying like $10 a shirt and I was making them for like $7. So I was going to make, it was a $10,000 order. And at the time I was like 20 and I was like, $10,000 is so much. And I was going to make $3,000 on it. It's like sick. It was these pocket tees, and they printed the pocket not on the actual pocket. They printed it above.
Oh,
so the fraternity, the president of the fraternity got it and he called me. He was like, yo, dude, like these shirts are fucked. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, no, like I sent the proofs. They're all good. Like, he's like, he sends me a picture. And I was like, oh, fuck. So it's like, at that point you have a dilemma. It's like, do you refund the money? Because the shirts are made, the manufacturer's not giving you the money back. Mm-hmm. And I was like, shit, this business kind of sucks because there's a million ways to do it wrong and there's one way to do it right. And there's so many times like we do something for a school and their colors are burgundy, and they'd get the shirts and they'd be like, these shirts are maroon, not burgundy. And I'm like, what the fuck's the difference between maroon and burgundy? They're like, our school colors are burgundy, not maroon, or sky blue, not heather blue. And I'm like, I don't know the difference. And it's like, there's so many ways to do it wrong. So that was a painful business. And then senior year, I was kind of bragging to some kids. I was showing off. I was like, yeah, I made 25 grand last semester. I'm killing it. I'm an entrepreneur. And this guy, Parker, comes up. He's like, oh, that's cool. I do custom stuff too. I do custom lacrosse uniforms. And I'm like, bro, no one cares about your custom lacrosse uniforms. Get out of here, man. And he was like, yeah, I've done over $1 million in sales. And this is by senior year. And I remember I was like, holy shit, this guy's legit. And he started telling me everyone with their custom lacrosse uniforms wanted socks to match. So that's when I was like, dude, let's go sell these on campus. And that's how Feet started.
And immediately when you first met him, did you think like, okay, this is going to be like a partnership? Or did you think maybe like we can keep the business separate and kind of do our own things, but like if you win, I win type of thing?
I mean, yeah. So immediately when I met him, I didn't care about equity or money or anything. I was like, dude, let's just go test if we could sell these. So like we spend all night, we make all these socks. We go on campus the next day, we sell them. We sell a couple $1,000s worth. We're like, holy shit, we go buy more socks. And the first 4 months, I worked every single day, like 8 hours a day on it, and didn't ask for $1, didn't ask for equity. And after like 4 months of working, like it was like he was like, all right, cool, let's be partners on this. But it's like I think way too many people go into things like before they start like, oh, before I lift a finger, I need to get paid X dollars an hour, or I need X% equity. And it's like, get the fuck out of here with that. That's such bullshit. Like that's not the way things just prove your value and you'll be taken care of. So like I worked 4 months on Feet, like busted my ass on it so hard. And after 4 months, he was like, cool, let's break out some equity and let's make this happen.
Yeah, that's so cool. And it also helps that you guys, I guess, like each other as people too. Like he's not just like dick and you're not a dick either. So
yeah.
That definitely helped, especially you're going to be, since you guys were working together like day and night. I remember watching your Instagram stories, like literally working like maniacs sometimes. But
yeah, we have an unreal relationship, and it's so important to find an awesome co-founder. And a lot of people ask me, like, how do you find a co-founder? And it's like the same thing of like, how do you find a girlfriend? Like the harder you look, the harder it is to grab or harder it is to get. Like, so I think people try to force businesses and force co-founders, and that doesn't work. Like, things have to come naturally and they have to kind of just work.
So then how did you get to LinkedIn? How did you even decide to like take the job at LinkedIn and kind of do feet on the side? Like what was your thought process going through all that?
I realized I needed experience at a more corporate environment. Like, I didn't want to always just be startup. There's so many things I learned from LinkedIn that I still use today. And I learned so many lessons about organizations and structures and working at a company that you can never learn from the outside. And I had such an unreal network at LinkedIn. Like, I met so many smart, like, me working at LinkedIn was punching above my weight class network wise, because like I came from UMass, that's not a target school. And the kids, the kids there, it's like these Harvard and Yale and like Stanford, and like, these kids are like just so smart and connected. And you're just like, whoa. So I was like, wow, I have an opportunity to kind of, at the time I had the biggest chip on my shoulder. I was like, the world doesn't say I'm as smart as these people. The world doesn't say I'm as good as these people. And when I went to LinkedIn and I was like, hey, they're just people. They're just like me. And that gave me so much confidence to be like, doesn't matter what school I came from. Doesn't matter what the world said. Doesn't matter what my SAT scores are. Like, I can go head to head with these people. I can go head to head with anyone in the world. That gave me so much confidence in seeing that I was able to excel in that environment. And also, like, LinkedIn gave me some of my best friends. And like, our first hire was Gabe, and he's this beast sales dude from Harvard. Yeah, Gabe's just like so smart, so hardworking. And like, he helped our business so much, we ended up hiring him. So LinkedIn was an awesome opportunity to meet so many people and learn so much.
That's dope, man. And I personally knew you. So for the people that are out there listening, can you give more context as to like what your day-to-day looked like going into a sales job and then like managing a full-time business on the side as well? And obviously like keeping that connection with Parker to make sure that things were all good with Feet. So give us more context as to like what that was like, and I guess how it kind of took a toll on you over time, I guess. Because I know like managing multiple things.
Yep.
It's definitely not easy. Like, time management is obviously one thing that you have to like master. But are there any other tips, or maybe just walking us through what that looked like during that time of your life?
So I think people underestimate how many hours there are in a day. There's so much stuff you could do in a day. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And people just think like, oh, you can only work 8 hours a day, or you can only like whatever. But first of all, like, if you're actually, there's a difference between like working and like actually putting your head down and getting shit done. So like, I could do the same amount of work in 8 hours if I focus for 1 hour. And like, most people, when they're like, I'm so busy, I have such a big day, I have so much work. It's like, no, it's not. Just put your head down, shut up and do it. Like, nothing takes that long. Just shut up and do it and stop procrastinating. And so I think that's the first thing, is like, people don't understand time management because they don't understand time. And they think like, oh, because society or someone says this project is a big deal and it'll take a long time, then they make it in their head to take a long time and be a big deal. It's like, just get in there, get it done, and get out.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I initially had the idea of doing this podcast is not only do I have a lot of other things going on in my life outside of like my full-time job at LinkedIn, like a DJ, like you said, I'm starting a podcast, do events and all that, family as well. But I do see that people find tons of different excuses for that, for not having time. It's like, maybe if you didn't spend 4 hours a day scrolling on Instagram, that you'd have at least 3 or 4 hours to
it's like crazy.
Use other things.
Yeah, like everyone listening to this right now, go open your phones, go to your settings, and see how much time you spent on Instagram in the past week, and then tell me you don't have time. Like, see how much time you spent on your phone, like just mindlessly scrolling. And it's like, just when you're doing something, give it 100% of your time, energy, and effort. Don't get distracted and get shit done. And then you'll realize how much time you have in the day and how much stuff you could do. And I'm not saying like, don't like go hang out with your family and don't have fun and don't hang out with friends. You should do all that. Like, you should definitely do that. Just whatever you're doing, be present and do it.
That's actually interesting that you mentioned that right now, because we briefly talked about it before we started recording. Do you feel like at any point in your career thus far that you went through a stage where you're kind of just like only working all about work? Because I definitely went through that, and it was not a like fun time now looking back, but can you relate to that at all?
I mean, yeah, when we graduate school, I think it's the hardest time, because you graduate and then you're like, what do I do now? And everyone's a little lost and confused and very impressionable. And I was really impressionable to Gary Vee and those people on Instagram who are screaming in your face, hustle, grind. If you're enjoying your life right now in your 20s, you're doing it wrong. Don't enjoy anything. Delay gratification. If you're hanging out with your homies, you're losing. Someone's beating you. Someone's working harder. And that really got ingrained in my mind. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to hang out with my friends. I'm not going to watch movies. I'm not going to chill. I'm not going to kick it. I'm going to grind. And that's how I'm going to win. And I did that for a couple of years. And my business was successful, but I was depressed. It was the lowest point of my life. And I realized, like, I hit a breaking point because I was like, there's basic human needs that you need. You need to live a well-rounded life. And that life isn't sustainable, the hustle and the grind. And the people that are telling you to work around the clock and do it, they're preaching shit they've never done. They probably don't even work that hard. They're just saying that for likes or clicks or whatever. So yeah, I hit a complete breaking point with feet. It was during Q4. It was like our busiest holiday time. We were going to do a couple $1 million that month. And it was like a huge time. And we were just crushing. And it was our holiday season. It was, we prepped all year for this. I remember it was a Monday or Tuesday morning, like at 11 a.m. And I just turned to Parker and I was like, yo, can you drop me off at the airport? And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, here's my phone. Here's my computer. I'm leaving them both here. Can you drop me off at the airport? He's like, dude, all you got is a JanSport backpack on. And I'm like, yeah, that's all I'm taking. And he's like, you're not taking your phone or computer or nothing? I was like, no. Can you just drop me off? He's like, where are you going? I was like,
yeah, I was about to ask you, did you even tell him where you were going?
I was like, I booked a one-way flight to like the cheapest spot farthest away. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, drop me off. So I got to the airport with literally just the clothes on my back and a backpack with a hoodie in it. That was it. No phone, no computer. I was like, I had to disconnect. And I flew to Thailand just as far as possible. And that was like my rock bottom breaking point. I was like, I can't do it anymore. I broke. Like I worked too hard and I was just too ingrained in it and I wasn't happy. And I hit my absolute breaking point. And I got to Thailand and I was like meditating with the monks over there. And I just remember thinking, like, seeing these kids with literal rags on their bodies. That's the only clothes they have. But they're playing in the street and they're laughing and they're playing soccer and they're happy. And I'm like, damn, these people are happy with nothing. And I'm over here, like, at the time we were in this like dope house on the Venice canals and we're running this company that was supposed to do $10 million this year. And we were 23 or 24 and Forbes 330 and this and that. And I'm not happy. And meanwhile, you just give this kid a can of Coke that he can kick around like a soccer ball, and he has the biggest smile on his face. And I was like, shit, who's winning in life, man? Like, I got to rethink things because I'm doing it wrong. I got to figure out how to be happy.
Would you say that that's like your lowest point in your career so far?
Lowest point in my career, in my life. And I remember on the way to the airport, I called my mom and I was like, hey, Mom, I booked a one-way flight to Thailand. I'll come back when I'm ready. She was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I'm leaving my phone and computer here. She's like, oh, my God, what? She's like, maybe you should go to therapy first. It's cheaper. And I was like, Mom, I'll be good. But yeah, by far the lowest point in my life and career, especially with entrepreneurship. Like, entrepreneurship's really lonely and really tough because as an entrepreneur, you're forcing yourself to be excluded from society almost in a way. And you're forcing yourself to be an outcast. Because you can't relate. It's like when your friends are like bitching about their boss or their 9 to 5, like you can't relate to those conversations. You can't relate to most people. You're completely different. You value your time differently. You value different things differently. It's like you choose to be different. And a lot of times you could be right or you could be wrong, but you're alone. And it's easy to applaud the ones who make it, but the ones who don't, and there's so many that don't, like it's a really tough solo journey.
When you got back from your trip to Thailand, how did you make sure that you didn't just like fall back into that black hole of like work? Like obviously you had a great time. You like it opened your eyes a ton, but like we all know, like coming back to LA or coming back to the daily routine, it's easy to get sucked back into like other like habits, even if they're bad habits or good habits, like whatever it be. How did you make sure that you didn't just go back and hurt yourself more by like working a ton and kind of like avoiding family and friends?
I think the first thing and the most important thing that I realized was I'm not competing with anyone else.
Yeah.
And it's so easy in today's day of like Instagram and social media to be like, damn, this person's crushing it in one aspect of life. Damn, this person's crushing it here. And like, you always want to compete with someone and you always feel this pressure and this like, oh, this person did this, so I got to do this. And once I realized like, I'm not competing with anyone but myself. And then I started thinking about like, all I want on this earth is to be as happy as possible for the longest period possible. So that's my new goal. My goal isn't to be Forbes 330. My goal isn't to get 1 million followers. My goal is not to do $100 million in sales. It's like, end of the day, I just want to be happy. So if I'm not being happy and I'm not doing things I enjoy, I'm losing. And then it's having the confidence in yourself knowing that you're going to get it done. So like once you get that confidence in yourself, you know, like you're going to be all right. Then you're comfortable taking breaks. Then you're comfortable like, you know, taking vacation or time off. And I think you really need that confidence in yourself to be like, I'm going to make it happen. Like we're both motivated ass dudes, man. Like we've already succeeded in so many aspects of life. We're going to keep succeeding. We're not going to let ourselves go off the rocker. We're not going to like really mess it up. Like we're smart. We're going to get it done. So just enjoy it. And like now it's just figure out how to enjoy the ride.
I'd love to learn more about your day-to-day routine and things that you implement in order to keep yourself grounded and happy and ensure that you have like more of a balanced life. So can you touch upon maybe like what your daily routine looks like today and compare it to how it looked like during that other time in your life?
Yeah. So I think so much comes from what we consume in terms of you are what you eat and you are what you watch. And I think a lot of people understand like, yeah, you are, you eat like shit, you feel like shit. But first thing for me was like, when I was in that dark period, I was eating like shit, man, because I was so stressed and whatever. And then once I started really dieting and really eating healthy, I felt so much better.
You look good too, by the way.
Yeah, I lost like 40 pounds, man.
Shit.
I was like, I got fat and I was like depressed and it's a bad cycle. So like step one, own things that you could own. Start eating as healthy as possible and see the impact it has on just your energy and your focus and your mental. So I think first thing you do, change your diet. And that was huge for me. Second thing I did was change my diet of what I consume. So it's the content you consume, that's what takes up your energy and your mind. That's what you think about. So it's like unfollow those like Instagram influencers that you hate but you love to watch and you're jealous of. Like don't mess with those people. Don't watch people's Instagram stories. Just like be in the moment, be in life. Think about what you consume every single day in terms of food and in terms of content. Because if you consume happy, motivating, awesome content all day, you'll be happy, motivated, and awesome. If you consume dark, sad, like shitty content all day, or you know, consume content of people's lives that you're jealous of all day, you're going to be jealous all day. So that was a big thing, understanding what I consumed. And then another big thing was, no matter what, almost every day now, I try to wake up and work out because that just gets me going in such a better. It's crazy the difference you feel in your day when you work out in the morning. You don't. In the first 15 minutes, it's going to suck of your workout. Like you wake up, you're like, oh, come on, not today. I could sleep in. I don't want to do this. And you drag your ass to the gym and you're like, I still don't want to do this. And then you're on the treadmill and you're like, damn, today it's not going to be the thing. Like, I'm just going to take it easy today. There's no way. And then finally you're like, I got this. Let's dominate the day. And you just have to push yourself through that first 20 minutes. But working out, it forces in the morning, it wakes you up, forces you to eat healthy and really think about your body all day.
That makes me so happy as such a fitness enthusiast. And like, somebody who's worked out my entire life, or I guess since high school, makes me so happy that you've like made it part of your daily routine. Would you be able to like walk through like, I don't know, from the time you go to sleep to the time, or the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, like what does the day consist of in order? Because you'd imagine like some people listening to this podcast, maybe they have like a regular 9 to 5 and the way their day is structured is completely different from yours. So what does a day in the life of Taylor Offer Shoes look like?
So I try to wake up at 7 every morning without an alarm. That's just when I wake up. And wake up, go to the gym for about 45 minutes to an hour. Luckily, I have a gym in my building, so I just walk into the gym, walk back. It's pretty nice. Get back at 8, wake up my girlfriend, eat breakfast with her, kind of hang out. Still haven't watched Instagram stories or done that yet, just like being in the moment. When I wake up, I like to check my email and kind of think about what I want to do today, but not do any work. I have breakfast with her, kind of hang out. Then I walk to the office. Luckily, when you have your own company, you could choose where your office is and where you live. So my gym's in my building, then I walk across the street to my office.
That's dope.
So everything's walking distance. Get into the office. So what I do first, I check my email. And I have 4 different email accounts. I have my Feet Socks account, so I check, make sure everything's good with feet. Talk to all of our team, get some check-ins, make sure everything's good. There's no fires there. Then we have Taylor Parker Agency. That's our main agency. So we go through there, I talk to my clients, make sure everything's good there, kind of outline what I have to do. And then I don't actually do anything for the first 30 minutes. I just check in on everything. So I check all my emails, I check all the things I have to do, and I open my notes app and I write down everything I have to do. And I'm like, okay, cool. Text Ish back and schedule a time for this. Okay, cool. Respond to client about this. Cool. Change this in feet here.
And why is it that, do you feel like it helps clear your mind out and not like stress out over the things you have to do because you physically wrote them down, or I guess put them in the computer?
So it's, for me, I get so distracted. I think we all do. It's like I'll start working on something, then I don't finish something else. So I'm like, cool. by the time I leave this office today, I'm going to have everything on the list done. And as things come up throughout the day, I just add them to the list. And then I just tackle things on the list one by one. Because what I would learn before is like I'd start working on something and then something else would come in and I'd work on that and I'd get distractions and start working on something else. And I had all these things that were half baked and half done. And then by the end of the day, I'd be like, oh shit, I started working on this, but then I got distracted by that and I didn't finish this. Or like, oh damn, I didn't get around to responding to Ish about the podcast tomorrow because as I was texting him back, I got a call from a client and I answered that one. And then I started working on the thing for the client. And I think you have to own your schedule in your day. So like what I try to do is like sit down first 30 minutes, just type out a fat ass to-do list of everything I have to do that day. And then just tackle them one by one by one. And then whatever time I'm done, I'm done. So like whenever like I don't have anything to do, I'm like, cool. I brainstorm a little bit, I think, but I like to get out of the office. So whether that is some days I don't get out of the office till 6 p.m. Some days I'm done at 11 a.m. And I'm just like, cool, I'm done. Like today, for example, I'll probably get out of here around 1 and just be like, cool, I'm done working.
Then what is it that you do in your free time? Like obviously you have a girlfriend, you have a pretty cool dog. Do you have any like hobbies or things that you do to kill time or like, I don't know?
Yeah, still love playing sports, love reading. I've started to like walking, which is such a weird hobby.
That's actually funny because I currently hate walking and like everybody tells me that I should like it more because it slows down life. Yeah. And you really can't speed up the time it'll take you to get from point A to point B. Yeah. So I'm still working on that one.
I love walking, but I'm talking about walking with no headphones, no music, no podcast, and just not going out there and thinking about anything really, and just like being at one. And it's like, my best ideas happen when I'm the most relaxed. And just like, I mean, I'll do it like probably a couple times a day where I'll just like get up and go for a walk around the block and leave my phone in the office. And it sounds crazy, but it's like literally leave all my stuff in the office and just go walk around.
When you first started doing it, did you kind of freak out? Like, oh shit, what if I get a text? What if I get an email? What if I get an important call, business deal, etc.? I
mean, yeah, I used to freak out all the time about everything. And then I was like, there's nothing good from coming from freaking out. What's going to happen is going to happen. And that's it. And once you can figure out how to just enjoy walking around outside alone, like you'll realize you'll tap into this whole another level of creativity you never thought you had.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think in today's day, now that we have social media and we have so many apps on our phones that we're glued to, being able to have the authority of like not checking your phone and not being on your phone and not stressing or worrying about like missing out on Instagram posts or missing a call or a text, like you can get back to people
people. You don't have to respond right away. And I nag my girlfriend for this all the time because like someone texts her and she's like, I gotta text them back right now. And I'm like, breathe, relax.
Yeah,
you get them back on your own time, and you gotta value your time the way you want it. So if you always respond to someone right at that second, you're telling them your time's not valuable.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that right now because I noticed that, I don't know if, and correct me if I'm wrong, but do you have like times throughout your day that you do use to text people back and message people back?
Yeah. So all my texts, I quickly classify is it urgent? I have to respond right away, or is it not urgent and I could respond by a certain time? And then
I do the exact same thing. Like I have certain times throughout the day where I will like go through my messages and exactly the same thing. Like if it's urgent, then I'll like try to get back really quickly, or depending on what project I have in front of me. But I noticed that when I was texting back and forth to schedule this podcast, I was like, he probably has the same system in place in terms of like priority. Like he knows it's going to happen. So in terms of priority, it's not like a do or no deal type of text. So
yeah. So anything that's like instant urgent, someone's like, hey, I'm at the gate. What's the login? What's the code or something? Get back right away. But if it's like this, like, hey, I knew we were meeting Friday. And you sent me like, here's some lists of stuff we're going over for the podcast. I think you probably sent like Thursday morning. I got back like last night or this morning. Like, cool, got it. Thank you. Excited. Like, that's not urgent. I got it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important because I think a lot of people just get caught up in not managing their time correctly, and they're spending their full day like responding to people on their phone and stuff. And it's like, they're not actually putting their full energy or time and resources into anything. So they're doing everything half-assed, and that's why it takes them 8 hours to do a job that should take them 1. It's like, get in there, get it done, and then worry about the other stuff.
I mean, we just gave some really like tactical advice, but any other tips on how people can be less glued to their phone and more take back their time more and be able to structure their time to their schedule versus being always on the reply and things are urgent and got to get back to people?
Yeah, so I think most people have this like idea in their head that it's for work, and it's like it's not. Like everyone tries to justify like always being on their phone, like, oh, it's for work, my boss might call me, or it's for work, my client might do this. Oh, it's for work because I have to research what people are posting on Instagram to see what my Instagram post should be best. Bullshit. And it's like, no, it's not for work. Like, and if it is, like, your work, you don't have to respond at 7:30 p.m. on a Wednesday night. Like, it's okay not to respond until tomorrow morning. They're like, no, I have to respond right away for like, not the end of the world for anything. So I think step one is realize like nothing is that important on your phone. And like you could start in small increments, like put your phone down and go for a 20-minute walk outside and come back and realize, wow, no one needed me on my phone and nothing's that urgent. And then once you realize that, change it from 20 to 30 and then spend an hour without your phone. And the crazy thing, these technologies and these devices are meant to mess with our brains and be so addicting. And we're all addicted to this. We are all like extremely addicted to our phones, more than any of us will admit and more than any of these big tech companies will let us know. Like, I think like this, it's the same way that people are addicted to cigarettes. Like people are addicted to phones and it's worse. Like if you look at your phone, it's disgusting how many times people pick up their phone every day and how many hours they spend on their phone. Like absolutely disgusting. And it's like, it's a habit where you're walking down and it's like, you don't even think you do anything. You're like, oh, I felt it vibrate. Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, I felt it vibrate. Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, this. You check it every 2 seconds out of habit. And you're like, wow, that's crazy.
So on that topic, given that social media is kind of like everywhere and people are so addicted to that as well, what are your thoughts on social media? And I personally think it could be a pretty cool tool if you use it the right way. But like, what are your thoughts on how mainstream society uses social and how they can maybe use it better to their health? Like one thing you mentioned was following people that are more inspirational or more, not even inspirational, just positive in general and put out positive content. But any other thoughts on that?
I think social media is horrible to people's mental health and it's horrible to society. And I think we're going to look at social media 50 years from now the way we look at people smoking cigarettes 50 years from now and say, didn't you know it was bad for you? Why'd you do it? It's so addicting. Why would you start? And people are going to look at our generation and it's like the same way we look at our parents' generation and we're like, damn, everyone was smoking cigarettes. Didn't you guys know it was bad for you? Why were you all doing it? I think right now in our generation, everyone in the future is going to say, damn, you guys were all doing social media. Didn't you guys know it was so bad for you? Why do you guys do it so much? And I think we have no idea how extremely negative it is on mental health and addicting it is and how bad it is.
And I think that another layer on top of that is that these newer and newer social channels that are coming out are targeting the younger and younger demographics. So now you have 9-year-olds that are on like TikTok or Snap or like Twitter, like all these different channels. So they're not even like, I guess, fully growing up before already creating like their own social channels and creating their brand online and worrying about that 100% of the time.
It's
and
horrible.
Like you said, glued to your phone. So
it's the instant gratification. And it's such a disease and we're all addicted and none of us will admit it because none of us, go ask any of our friends, anyone listening to this podcast, go say, don't touch your phone today. No one will do it.
Yeah,
we're
100%.
that addicted. It's like telling someone who's addicted to cigarettes, don't smoke a cigarette today. Like they're going to smoke a cigarette somehow. We are so addicted to our phone. We don't need our phones, especially like a Saturday or Sunday. Oh, really? You can't put down your phone for one day? Nobody can. Anyone that's listening to this podcast, see if you can put your phone down for one full day. DM us if you do, because I'll be impressed. But I think it's impossible because we're so like, what else are you so addicted to that you can't do it for a day?
yeah.
We're extremely addicted to our phones. It's disgusting and horrible.
I agree. Transitioning really quick, I wanted to ask a couple of just like tactical questions. So what's some of the best advice you've ever received? Like obviously you've been a hustler it sounds like your whole life. You went to college, started a couple of companies, you worked in corporate. Through all of that and even just personal life and other things that you've gone through, what's some of like the best advice that you've received and why? Like how did it impact you in like today?
Some of the best advice I got was it's not about working towards the light at the end of the tunnel. It's about making sure the tunnel's always lit. So I think with entrepreneurs and with everyone in our head, we have this idea of when I get this, I'll be happy. Or when I get this, I'll be legit. And for me, it was like, when we hit our first $1 million in sales, I'll be happy. And then I remember I turned to Parker and like we had like $2.2 million. He's like, yo, remember we used to say when we hit $1 million, we'll be happy? And I'm like, yeah, fuck that, man. Let's get to 10. We're not shit. We suck. And it's like, then you get to 10, you're like, let's get to 100. Why am I not at 100? Then you get like, you want your whole life to be 4% under 30. Then you get there and you're like, so I want something else.
It's like never ending.
Never ending. Yeah. And you're happy for a second and then it's gone. So it's like, instead of working in the dark to get to this light at the end of the tunnel, make sure the tunnel's lit every day and just enjoy every day. And then you're playing with house money because it's just always good and it's always happy.
Yeah, I can't agree with that anymore. Like I feel like Personally, for me, it's always been like, for DJing, for example, it's like, oh, I want to DJ a 500-person venue, a 1,000-person venue. I want to DJ in Vegas. And it's exciting and it's cool. And it's cool to like add to your resume, and it's cool to say you worked at big companies.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've found it to be like super exciting for me is just like that. And I hate using these words like hustle and grind, but it is that hustle and grind of like every day. It's like, I'm kind of inching towards it a little bit, and it's fun and it's exciting and it's like new and it's like exhausting. But if you find like joy in it, then that's what you should actually be chasing. It's like that route to get there, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you listen to like books? I know you do podcasting, but do you have any books that have maybe super impacted you, and kind of like why?
Yeah, so I read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of podcasts. One of my favorite books is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's literally a cheat code to life. It's like the ultimate cheat code to life. Like anyone that reads that book, you have the cheat code. It just teaches you how to deal with people and how to get people to like you, which is the most important thing you could do in life. Like that book has had more of an impact on my life than almost anything else, because it's made me so likable. It teaches you how to put other people first and just how to communicate things in ways to get people to like you.
In any situation, whether it's a work setting, whether it's friends, whether it's like just being out in public, like you said, it's
the cheat code.
It's
the cheat code.
It's the cheat code.
If you want
life.
the cheat code to life, like that book has changed everything.
Yeah, I have the Audible version. Check out Audible. It's pretty sick.
Sponsor?
Eventually, we'll
One
see.
day.
Let's talk a little bit more about Feet Socks when you were like at the peak of the business in terms of employment. Like how many people did you have working for the company, and what did that look like, and maybe anything that you've learned during that time? Because I know it's super tough, especially as a young entrepreneur, to have to manage obviously their own company, but also manage other people. I think that's a whole different ball game. It's one thing if you're hustling with your business partner and doing it, like the two of you, but then you add another layer of complexity and having to manage people. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, so when I was 22 years old, I was managing a team of 20 people.
Holy crap.
Which was wild. And I had no idea how to manage anyone. I couldn't even manage myself. Like, I had no idea how to manage myself, like, and how to actually make sure I was good. And then you spend all your time managing and working with these people. You don't spend any time kind of moving the business forward. It's all maintenance type stuff. And it's tough because when you have an employee, you're not just managing them at work. You're kind of controlling their livelihood and their life. Like, this isn't a game. Like, it's a real thing when you hire someone. And like, I've had to fire a bunch of people too. And that's so hard, especially when they're friends. And it's not, they did nothing wrong, but it's the business. And it's my fault because I hired them for a role that the business needed then, but didn't need 6 months from now. And there's no role for them. So now I'm just the messenger communicating what the business needs, but I'm the asshole who's firing them. And it's hard for them because they went from having stable income and they have apartments and they have food and they have needs that they got to hit, and now they have no income. And it's so emotional and it's so difficult. So it's like, I would recommend growing as slow as possible. We grew pretty quickly. And then also a big thing I've learned is never take on a full-time employee. Always take on a contractor. So it's way better for their employer, because once you take on a full-time employee, there's all these benefits. And then it's very hard to hire and like let people go. And as a contractor, it's all kind of outsourced and it's a lot better. So we've kind of repositioned all of our businesses where we have no more full-time employees. Everyone's a contractor.
I almost feel like this is like the dark side of entrepreneurship and the stuff that people don't really talk about. It's like everybody says, raise as much money as you can, do as many sales, grow a huge team, and like be the next huge, like Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. But nobody really talks about what it's like to actually grow the team and manage the team and all the ups and downs. And when the business does well, then the team is doing well, but what happens when the business is doing bad? Yeah,
and the business was doing well, and we were doing $1 million months, and then it would go to like 1 month we had a bad month, and we were out of cash, and I had to pay myself for a couple months because we didn't have any money for it. And I had no other option. It was D-Day. I had to fire 7 people in one day.
Holy crap!
And we had a meeting, and I said, "Hey guys, like a lot of things are going to change. The business can't support this whole team right now." Mm-hmm. We talked to everyone one-on-one and kind of talk about the future. And like about half those people from those meetings, I'd stepped outside of them. I had to say, sorry, you're no longer working at Feet Socks. And it's really hard because in that time, when you're letting someone go, every advisor we had and when we talked in business, you say as little as possible because it's a complete liability.
Yeah.
If you say like, you want to, as a human, you want to be like, you were awesome. It wasn't you. You were great. But in that moment, if you say something incorrectly or misspeak, then you just open it up to like a lot of liability with kind of wrongful termination or this or that. And it's like, as a human, you want to give them a hug. You want to say, look, it's not you, it's the business and this and that. But you just have to, like, we were advised to say, sorry, you're no longer employed with Feet. Please get your stuff and exit.
And did all of this kind of lead to like Feet being more of a self-service business and like the whole business model of it and how it works? Because you had 20 something employees then. How many employees do you have now? And what does the business model look like? Yeah.
So at any given day, we'll still have up to 20 employees working for us. That being said, they're all outsourced contractors.
Got it.
So some of them come in house sometimes, but we have people all over the world and they're hourly contractors. And that just allows us to, when we do $1 million a month, or we could go up and pay them more as their work increases. When we do a couple $100,000 a month, we pay them less and they work less. So a good example I like to use is like, we had a customer service person in the house and we were paying $45,000 a year for that role. And there'd be days where that person had to respond to 50 customers, and there's days that person had to respond to 5 customers. No matter what, we're paying them $45,000 a year. And there'd be months we do close to $1 million, and the months we do close to $100,000. No matter what, we're paying them at that same salary, no matter the work. Whereas now I have a freelancer I found from Upwork, and he's in the Philippines, and I pay him $4 an hour whenever he works. And he could work 5 hours a week. I could hire some more people. We can get 100 hours of work a week. So it's completely flexible based off revenue. So you're not stuck with this massive overhead.
I love Upwork and Fiverr too. Fiverr's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I find your whole story of like Feet Socks in particular like super fascinating, because when I mention you to like some of my friends, I'm like, yeah, my boy Taylor's super dope dude. Like he's out there in LA. He runs his own sock company. And I know now you've expanded it to other merchandise, but people are like, wait, what the hell? Like a sock company? And I'm sure like if I get those types of reactions, you probably get them like 10 times magnitude. But I want to like touch upon the 2 particular moments in your career just with Feet overall. One of them was, I think it was BBC. You did an interview with them. And that entire 24 hours of the day watching your Instagram story was so like stressful, but at the same time exciting. I was like, I know he's about to kill this. He's going to sleep 0 hours. He's going to do it. So for everybody that's listening and has no idea what I'm talking about, could you kind of just share the story and like what the hell happened that day? Because that was crazy.
Yeah. So I was in Boston at the Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit. And I was there and I was like, I'm always like networking, not in the terms of like just networking to network, but just to go meet everyone and talk to everyone and figure out what opportunities are available. And someone was like talking about a BBC interview and I was like, oh, I'm so down, blah, blah, blah. And then
it's casual.
Well, yes, because someone else got it. And that's how all these things come up. It's like a friend of a friend told me about this and that, whatever. So I'm like, I can make anywhere, anytime work, blah, blah, blah. And then they're not responding, whatever. And then my flight's that night. So I go boarding the flight in Boston. And my flight, it's like I think I leave like at 5 p.m. and I land in LA like at 11 p.m. or midnight. And right before I'm walking on the flight, the BBC person emails me. I was like, hey, Taylor, we'd love to have you do the interview. It'll be at blah, blah, blah time, London. And I do it on my phone. And I'm like, that's 3:30 a.m. in LA. Because it's BBC, it's in London. And I was like, oh, shit. He's like, you have to be in a professional studio with professional lighting, professional audio, and like 5G or something even faster than 5G.
It was going to be aired live, right?
Yeah, because it was a live segment.
To the world.
To the world.
Okay.
And he's like, can you confirm you have all this? Like, you're doing it in a news studio. And I was like, literally had a minute to go on my flight. And I'm like, yes, confirm, see you then. And like, right when I send it, like, we start taking off and I lose service. And I'm like, cool, the message sent. Then the plane Wi-Fi's down. So I'm like, cool, I'm landing at 11 p.m. in LA. By 3:30 a.m. in LA, I'm going to have professional studio lighting and be on BBC Live to like 50 million people.
Yeah.
And I got to figure all this stuff out and the Wi-Fi is not working. And I'm like, great, I agree. Like, that's a big thing in entrepreneurship too. Any opportunity, say yes and figure it out later.
Take it, yeah.
So I could have been like, I don't know, that's such last minute. It's 3:30 a.m. I'm getting in at 11 p.m. I only have 4 hours and everyone's going to be asleep. But I was like, no, like you say yes and you figure it out. So I ended up like getting in at 11:30, like getting some lights from my friend, setting up this thing in my apartment with the backdrop and 2 big lights on me, and I was doing it on my computer, and like I did the check like at 2:45 a.m. and like after not sleeping for like 24 hours.
Because you had gone to a conference the day, like
all day, that whole week pretty much.
And those are like exhausting. You're talking to people the entire day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like haven't slept for like a day and a half, and like it's just jank ass, like not even a studio. I went for the one white wall in my apartment and like propped myself up and like sat up on a chair to make it look like I was on a white wall. It's on my Instagram at Taylor Offer, the interview. And it's like, I remember it starting and it was like this chipper British guy, like, hello, Taylor, you out there, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know when, I couldn't see the audio. I couldn't see the video at all. And like the first, like, I think like 20 seconds of the clip, I'm just sitting there like this, like dead. If you rewatch the clip, like the first maybe like 5 seconds while he's talking, and I know like that I was on, I was like this, like just dead.
Zoning.
And then the interview went really well and it was awesome. But that's just a good example of like, no matter the circumstances, it's ingrained in my DNA to say yes and figure it out. And people are like, how'd you get this opportunity? How'd you get this opportunity? It's like, because I said yes to something that everyone else would say no to. And I just figured it out. And it's not perfect. And it's not going to be perfect all the time. And I could have said no because it was at 3:30 a.m. I could have said no because there's no way I was going to get lighting in a professional studio. Could have said no because I was exhausted. I could have said no for so many reasons. But I said yes.
Just knowing you for the past couple of years and following you on social, and like obviously we've been good friends since LinkedIn. I think that's like a recurring thread that I've noticed about you is like you figure things out as opportunities come your way, no matter what the circumstance is. I know you and Parker were either on Shark Tank or you guys interviewed to be on it.
Yep.
And that was like another crazy roller coaster of its own. Would you like mind sharing about that too?
Yeah, so we tried getting on Shark Tank and we like made it to the final process or whatever. And I'm pretty sure we didn't get on just because we're 2 white dudes that started the company in college, which is like, they're like, we've hit our fucking demo for that. We don't need any more 2 white dudes who started a company in college. They're like, where's your good story? And we're like, we started in college. And they're like, yeah, like everyone else. Where I think Shark Tank, they want a lot of things for TV. They want someone like, I immigrated to the US and I have 6 months to make this business work, or I'm done, or my wife said she didn't leave me, blah, blah, blah. Where it's like, yeah, we're such a rare breed of entrepreneurs. We're 2 white dudes that started a company in college. And they're like, that's every other company in the world pretty much.
But like props to you guys for even getting there and getting the interview. I think sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit in terms of like that in itself is like amazing to be able to get there.
We just showed up. There was an open casting call.
But you think about like most other people would be like, nah, Shark Tank, there's no way I would ever even have a chance. The fact that you actually went is one thing.
Yeah.
And made it to like one of the final interviews is like
that's the biggest thing. Just show up and try. Like there was an open casting call in Chicago. We flew out to Chicago, got there at 7 a.m., waited in line all day. Most people would be like, nah, I'm not getting up at 6:30 and going over to this weird place in Chicago and waiting in line to do a casting call where you only have like 90 seconds to pitch. And like, there's no way I'm going to get picked. But it's like, you just have to believe and you have to go for it.
Thank you for sharing that. One thing that I kind of like when you share on, I think LinkedIn, you do a lot of like interesting posts on LinkedIn, by the way. So
I like trolling on LinkedIn.
I'm a fan. I think one time you shared one about like sales pitches and emails that you've gotten or Instagram DMs.
Yeah.
Being a sales guy yourself, what is one of the best sales pitches you've ever given or received?
I think the best sales pitches I've given or received is anything that's personal. So it's like it shows you did your work and it shows you did your effort. So I think first thing, if you can get a referral to someone, that's the best thing you can do for sales. Because if it comes through a friend, if you're like, yo, talk to my boy who works here, blah, 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 like I'm going to do it out of respect for you. So that's the first thing. Second thing is make it personal. Like go through someone's Instagram, see what they like, see what they do. Like you can find out so much about someone online. And it's like, if someone was trying to pitch you something and it's like, yo, Ish, like it was actually at your set on Saturday at Hawthorne, you killed it. I loved when you put in that reggae music after the hip hop song. Like, by the way, like I think like you're awesome. Do you want to talk about this opportunity? Like you're gonna respond to them. You're gonna be like,
of the time,
I'm passionate about music. Damn, he liked my reggae mix. Like that's sick. So it's like actually show interest and passion. And I think that's the best thing for anyone in sales to do is like make it so personal. Like if they look on my Instagram, they're like, oh, yo, like I see every Sunday you and your girlfriend go to some cool brunch spot in LA. You got to check out this spot. Like I'm happy to take you guys there and let's just chat a little bit. You down? I'd be like, hell yeah, man. That's awesome. So I think make it as personal as possible is the best way to win.
Love it. Thanks. What do you, and in the last portion, just going to be a couple of questions if you're cool with that.
Rapid fire, let's go.
Yeah, I know you got stuff to do today.
No rush, we're chilling.
So what do you find like the most energy doing and the least energy doing? And kind of how do you like make sure that you sway away from the least energy section of your life as much as possible, even though sometimes you got to do shit that you don't like?
Yeah, so I think I do least energy when I'm doing repetitive tasks.
Like mindless tasks, right?
Yeah, over and over again. And or tasks that for some reason I think are below me. And it's really hard to do that because I'm like, why am I wasting my time on this when I should be doing this? And then instead of kind of blaming other things, I blame myself and say, hey, I need to find someone to do this. So that's why Upwork or Fiverr are great resources for anything. It's like, it's any task that you can train someone to do, you should train someone to do. So when I'm doing a mindless task over and over again, that really drains me. Anything with legal drains me because I hate dealing with legal BS. Or corporate shit drains me when I have to jump through corporate hoops. It drives me absolutely nuts when there's roadblocks for no reason.
You weren't made for corporate life.
No, not at all. And then what gives me energy is anything creatively. So anything I can use my creativity and like think big picture change, that gets me amped.
And what are some of the things that keep you motivated to like do what you do in terms of your two businesses that you currently have going? Family, friends, it could be anything. What keeps you going?
It's so funny because like when I think of things that motivate me, I can't think of anything. Like I'm not motivated by cars. I'm not motivated by having a big house or like I will never buy a Rolex or like a watch or a chain or anything. Cause like none of that stuff excites me at all. Mm-hmm. Like I just don't care for that at all.
I almost feel like, and this is just an observation that I've noticed in you, and I have this similar trait. Is it's almost like motivated through like execution and knowing that you executed on a task and like you killed it. You know. Well,
it's motivating on your vision coming to life. It's my biggest motivation is to prove to myself that what I thought was possible is possible, and that's it. Like I don't care about like me and Parker talk about this all the time. We're like, cool, we're making money now. What do we want to do? We're like, oh, sick, we can go do this and make a lot more money, but why? Like, because whenever we like are able to pay ourselves a lot of money from a project or whatever, we're just like, what are you gonna do with the money? We're like, I don't know, it's gonna go sit in an account because we don't really care for it. It's like, we're not motivated by money. We're not motivated by materialistic things. I think we're both motivated by like just wanting to get what's in our brain out into the world and see if it's possible.
And you're like a super positive dude. And like you look at the good out of every situation. You find opportunities wherever you look, and you take opportunities that come your way. But everybody has bad days. I have shitty days too. What do you do when you're having a shitty day to either embrace it, understand it's a shitty day, and then go on with your life, or try to flip it and be like, all right, well, I'm gonna make this bad day my bitch and like go to the or whatever you do. Like what do you do?
So whenever I'm having a shitty day, I like to put my phone down, put everything down, and just go run. And it's crazy how much running or working out can change your mindset. Like whenever you're super stressed or super down or super negative, like there's something about working out that like gets you sweating, gets your endorphins going. Like it changes your perspective so fast. So like I like to work out whenever I'm having a bad day. Anything can change my perspective. So working out, I try to meditate, whatever it takes, and just really change my environment, change my perspective. Do something that makes me grateful. Like if I'm having a shitty day, like I'll go walk around outside and I'll just go sit there and like look at a homeless guy and like go get him lunch and just be like, wow, I feel good about myself. And my day's not that shitty because you know what? I have a roof over my head and this guy doesn't or this girl doesn't. And like just to put things in perspective, like, yeah, I'm having a shitty day. Well, I live in Los Angeles, California, in the United States of America, and I have access to clean water and clean food. And I have a family that I love and that loves me. And I have friends that I love and love me. It's like, really? I'm going to let this thing ruin my day? Hell no.
Love it. Do you have any upcoming goals that could be like personal, business, or whatever, family?
Yeah. So a new product I've been working on really hard that I'm super excited about. It's called My Last Bottle, and it's a water bottle. And by buying it, you're making the pledge to make this the last water bottle you ever use. So it's attempting to eliminate single-use plastic. And then every bottle we sell, we're going to plant a tree, give a child in need a day of clean water, and remove a pound of plastic from the ocean. So the idea behind this was like, I've sold millions of dollars of socks online. Then I sold millions of dollars of hoodies online. Then I've sold tens of millions of dollars of other products through my consulting agency. But I was just making shit to sell, not shit. I was making product to sell product.
Yeah.
It's like the world doesn't need another pair of socks. The world doesn't need another hoodie. They'd like it. I can make it, and I could convince them to buy it, and I can make money off it. But the world doesn't need that. What does the world need? The world needs our help. And so like this is a project that I'm super passionate about because it's using the skills I have been selling to make a positive impact on the world.
I love it. So that's like a whole new project that you're doing on top of what you already have going on.
Exactly. So it's a new company. It's called My Last Bottle. The Instagram we just got it, My Last Bottle. It's mylastbottle.org. And it came to me after realizing some absolutely shocking stats on single-use plastic bottles. Like some crazy things. By 2050, the ocean will have more plastic by weight than fish, which is wild. By 2020, Americans are going to use 50 billion plastic bottles a year. Billion, which is wild. On average, an American uses 167 plastic bottles a year. 91% of plastic bottles aren't recycled. Like 95% of marine life has plastic in their stomachs. So it's just like this plastic epidemic, and we're living in it, and we're not doing shit about it. And we're ruining our environment. And it's like we're living at this one time in the full history of mankind and hundreds of millions of years of mankind. We're at this breaking point right now where it's either we're going to fuck up the planet more and it's going to be gone in 50 years, or we could fix it. And like we are so lucky that we're living in a time where we can make an impact. Let's make an impact.
Love it. And yeah, and it's almost like it's a project that's so much bigger than you or your community or
exactly
like the United States. It's inspiring and it's exciting. So
yeah, and my dream is to sell enough bottles to go out to where like Africa and just be able to actually give kids clean water and look at their faces and see the impact we're making, or to go and remove trash from the ocean and look at a nasty ass ocean and watch how clean it is and how the marine life's living. It's like, for me, that's my motivation.
This is a big ass project. So given that you have this project that you're launching, you have Taylor Parker, and then you have Feet, and then you have obviously a girlfriend, family, and friends. How do you manage it all?
We got more hours in the day than you think.
Yeah.
You just, whatever you do it. Give it your 100%. It's like, we're so powerful when we put 100% of our mind to something for a certain amount of time. Just do it. Don't make the bullshit excuses. Just focus on shit.
I love it. And I couldn't agree more. Last question is, what advice do you, and everybody asks this question, but I love it. And what advice would you give to your younger self? And in particular, I would say the younger self of Taylor that was working like a maniac and in a bad place. What would you give to like that Taylor?
Well, my advice that I'd give to my younger self, I'd give to everyone right now is stress less, enjoy more. I think anyone who is like making it or has made it, what they'll always say is, I wish I didn't worry the whole time. I wish I knew, like, we're going to get there. Like, don't worry. Enjoy the ride. Just enjoy it. Like, stop stressing. Enjoy life. You're here. It's a miracle that you're here. You're one out of a trillion chances to be here. And it's a miracle that you're living somewhere where you have access to audio and you have access to the internet where you can listen to this podcast. You're already winning. It's a miracle that you're here right now. Enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Like, you have everything amazing has already happened.
Yeah.
Stop stressing about, oh, I got less likes on my Instagram picture than this. Who the fuck cares? Enjoy life. Like, you're here. This is the moment. Stop delaying your gratification for something else. Enjoy today. Today should be the best day of your life. Go make it the absolute best day of your life and enjoy it. And don't let your own mind play tricks on you to let you not enjoy it. Like, today's awesome. Tomorrow's awesome. Yesterday should be awesome. Make today absolutely awesome and just enjoy it, because that's the only thing you could do.
I love it. And I don't think we could have had any better ending for this podcast. So thank you so much for joining, Taylor.
Of course.
Where can people find you? Where can people find maybe a couple of your projects that you want to highlight?
Yep. So my personal Instagram, there's going to be a lot here. My personal Instagram.
Okay, I'll include all the tags.
Yeah, is Taylor Offer, TaylorOffer. My main Instagram is Taylor Parker, TaylorParker. That's the one we have a couple 100,000 followers on. Our hoodie company is Feet, Feat. My Last Bottle is at My Last Bottle. My girlfriend's eating account is at my GF Eating.
That's probably one of my favorite Instagrams to follow.
I know, it's funny. My dog's at Blake the Bulldog. My sister's baby's at my sister's baby. So those are some Instagram accounts if you're bored. And then we have feetsocks.com. TaylorParkerAgency.com. I have an online course, TaylorParkerAcademy.com.
Jesus, how do you?
MyLastBottle.org. And I think that's it. And then LinkedIn, Taylor Offer.
Dope, man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the time, and That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Let's get it.